Hello everybody, welcome to Life in France. Life in France versus the UK. I'm Mark, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and don't forget to hit that red button so you don't miss any future releases. In today's video of Life in France versus the UK, I'm talking about the health service, comparing the national health in the UK to the French health service. Now, admittedly, I haven't used the National Health Service in the UK for the last 14 years since starting my life in France. So what I'm going to do is talk about the experiences that I hear that my father's going through at the moment and do a comparison with what I used to acknowledge happening when I was in the UK and comparing it to the health service in France that I've experienced over the last 14 years. Now, I'm not going to mention, guys, about the COVID this year because that's been atrocious. The one thing I will say, everybody working in the hospitals is doing a fantastic job. They're putting their lives on the line for everybody, and we just have to applaud everyone that works in the hospitals. They're doing a fantastic job. And through this video, I'm not going to be talking about what's happened this year. I'm going to talk about pre-COVID because I don't think it's fair to do the comparison of the hospitals when there's COVID about. So I'm going to talk about my situation and what I've seen regarding the health service in France before COVID started. Now, I guess I should start by funding. I don't know how much the funding for the health service is in France compared to the UK. However, I do know that the United Kingdom is one of the richest countries in the world, and yet per capita it spends below the average European amount per capita on its health service. It's actually ranked second bottom, whereas France and Germany are at the top on how much they spend per capita for their health service. Now, the health service is very different in both countries in that in England they say it's health service for everybody. Well, it's health service for everybody in France as well. However, it's funded in a different way. In the UK, the national health is funded through taxation, through your national insurance contributions and general taxation. In 2019, the national health budget in the UK was £133 billion. Now, a lot of people aren't 100% sure what that means, but a billion is 1,000 million pounds. So that's £133,000 million to fund the national health insurance in the UK. And this was astonishing that I found out. They're spending £3,000 million per year on managerial and admin staff. I'll let you decide whether that's good value for money or not. Now, you can go to a hospital or a doctor's free of charge in the UK. Nobody actually asks you for any money because you've already paid up front through your taxation. That's how it works. In France, you pay, same as the UK, the equivalent of national health insurance contributions, NI contributions, and I pay what's known as RSI contributions, and that goes towards my state pension, but it also funds towards my healthcare. However, it doesn't fund it 100%. You need to have a top-up insurance in France. Now, when I came to France, I set up a business straight away. My accountant registered me with all the organisations, one of which was USEF. And this was an organisation that provided me my health insurance, the basic level of health insurance. And my NI RSI contributions gave me 40 to 50% of any costs of the health cover. It was down to me to take up a top-up insurance to fill the gap, as it were. And I just went through my local insurance guy in AXA, and I think for myself it cost me about £45 per month. The way this works, for example, if I was to go to a doctor's, they charged me €27 for a visit. I used to pay them via my card, and I would get reimbursed from my insurance company 4 to 5 weeks later. And when you are registered in France, you get what's known as a carte vitale, your green card. And every time you go to the doctors or to the hospital, you have to provide them your carte vitale. And this, on the card, it shows them who my insurance company is, and they can actually register that with the company, any fees that are occurring now. You can update this card through any chemist. You basically go into your chemist, and once a year I just update the card, and it just takes into account any changes in my circumstances. Naomi and my children are now on my carte vitale. Naomi got her own one as well. When Naomi came to France, she used the benefits from her national insurance contributions in the UK to buy herself 2 years of cover within France using an S1 application form. And what this meant was that I didn't have to pay for a top-up insurance for Naomi for the first 2 years. What happens if you don't have a top-up insurance in France? If you had, for example, a major heart attack and you went in for heart surgery, and let's just say, for example, the bill is €10,000. Under your national insurance contributions, you'll be covered for 40 or 50% of that cost. The hospital will then ask you to pay the balance, €5,000 or €6,000. If you can't pay it, they will force you to pay it. They will make you sell your car or your house to pay it. That's the big difference of the health insurance in France to the UK. You have to have the health insurance top-up in France. Now, if you're in a situation where you can't afford it because your income's so low, you can actually apply for universal insurance, which is free for those on low incomes. So in France, the health service is available to all. If you can't afford the top-up insurance because you're on such a low income, then the government will provide a mutual society for you, free of charge, to cover that gap. And you're covered. So you don't have to physically pay any money when going to the doctors or hospitals. Guys, my experience in the UK, when I want to see a doctor, and I believe it's exactly the same now because from what I hear from my father, is that you ring the doctor's surgery and it may take 2 or 3 weeks before you get an appointment. You'd be dead by then if it was serious. I guess you have to go to a hospital if it's really serious, go in the A&E department. And obviously in the A&E department, from what I've experienced in the UK, you could be waiting 10 plus hours before you see anyone because they're just so overrun. On the flip side, in France, are you sitting down for this? I know that at 4 o'clock my doctor is actually picking up the phone, so I don't have to speak to a secretary. So I ring my doctor directly and say that, I'd like to make an appointment either for myself or one of the members of the family. And he says to me, when would you like to come in? I can see you tomorrow or Saturday. Within 2 days I can see him and I can choose the time. What a difference on making appointments. When we go to, I've been to A&E 3 times in France now. I had a fish hook stuck in my finger. Our boy thought we might have broken a finger when he had a fall. And we've been seen within an hour in A&E. My son had chest problems and we took him to the A&E. He was seen within half an hour and they kept him overnight just for observation. Just for observation. They kept him overnight, gave him a bed, and he was there for 24 hours, giving him oxygen when needed, just to do some checks on him and just to make sure he was okay. Giving birth, being pregnant. Again, I can experience on both sides. Both in the UK and France, they do have a pre-birth care service for the mums-to-be. And for Naomi, she was called in probably 3 or 4 times in the hospital before actually giving birth to do the scans. And she was also suffering from diabetes through the pregnancy. So she went on a diabetes course at the hospital. And they looked after her so well. And everyone that we come across could speak English. That's the other point. Our doctor, we make sure we chose a doctor in France that can speak English. He's 5 minutes away and he's such a lovely guy. No complaints whatsoever with regards to how he is with us. With regards to giving birth, get this guys, in France the minimum time they keep a mother, a first time mother, in hospital is 5 days to make sure they're rested and that they can look after the child properly and there's no problems with that newborn baby. In UK they try and get them out in the first day, but in France minimum of 5 days. And in the UK you go have a baby, you're in a ward with loads of mums, you haven't got any privacy, loads of screaming babies, and it's hard to get some sleep. In France, Naomi had a private room. She had a television, she had her own ensuite facilities. It was fabulous, and if I wanted I could stay the night there as well. The difference in service is absolutely astonishing. The hospitals in France, they are so clean. We go to the one in Pontivy. Admittedly it is quite a new hospital, but it's sparkling. It is so clean. And I've also gone to one in Lorient for my shoulder, and again, spotless. You know, I've been to the one in Romford. Oh, that was terrible. You know, it was just so dingy and dirty. Guys, operations. Now, over the last year, I've had a problem with my shoulder. I've actually torn a ligament in my shoulder, and that stopped me from doing my weight training, hence putting on some weight. But just to give you a comparison between the health service in the UK and the health service in France, in the UK I understand there's a waiting list for 60,000 people for operations, and they're waiting more than a year to get seen. Guys, when I went in for my shoulder, I had to wait 1 month before I got my MRI scan, the first one. The second one, admittedly, was a bit longer. It took 2 months before I saw it. And I took both of the MRI scans to the surgeon, made an appointment to see him. I saw him within 2 weeks of actually ringing him up. And sitting down with him, he turned around, looked at his diary and said, "When would you like to come in for the operation? I can do it in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks' time." Oh, before I have the operation though, please can you go, I'm not too happy with MRI scans, I'd like you to go and have an iodine scan instead. So they made an appointment at that hospital, and I went there the next day for what was very similar to an MRI scan. They injected iodine into my shoulder and gave me a scan the next day. That doesn't happen in the UK. If you have something serious in France, you know, you've got kidney problems or whatever, you can choose which hospital you go to. You can choose the surgeon that you want based on what you know about that surgeon, or what your doctor knows about the surgeon. He can recommend surgeons that are specialising in certain procedures, and you can go to all different hospitals of your choice to get seen by the right person in the right time. And that's the difference of life in France versus the UK. Is there any wonder that perhaps people live longer in France? Is it down to the medical care as well? You know, the average French person lives 4 or 5 years longer than those in the UK. What can I say? Guys, now I'm a family man. The cost of the top-up insurance for a family of 4, that's me at 54, Naomi 41, and 2 young children, €90 a month. So not extortionate. Guys, with your can't tell, you can also use that at your dentist, and that basically works exactly the same as the hospital or the doctors, in that you go and have your work done at a dentist, you hand over your card, and that's paid for through the first section through your national health insurance, and the second part through your top-up insurance. It's that simple. You get appointments very quickly, procedures are done very quickly, and again, can't complain about the service at the dentist either. Very good. So I guess you want to know what I think's the best. I'm sorry guys in the UK, but The health service in France, I think, is at a different level. It's so much better. You get seen quicker, the facilities are better, you get freedom of choice of who you go to see. There isn't such a waiting list. Overall, yes, you have to pay for it, but it's money well spent. So for me, 5 stars goes to the health service in France. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this short video on life in France and life in France versus life in the UK. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and don't forget to hit the red button. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again on Sunday. Take care everybody, thanks ever so much.